We are here in the THP Tech Studio with Chris Voshall from Mizuno Golf. Have two new drivers out here, STX and STZ or STZ, depending on where you're coming from. Welcome, Chris. Thanks for coming. I thought it'd be fun today since they've seen me hit a number of times in THP TV videos. How about, and if you're willing to, why don't we take you into the hitting bay.
Yep.
And you hit shots for us and tell us about your product.
Let's do it. So I will say this, I'm confident in it just because we got new heads. I've hit this before. This is actually my personal driver, this STZ here. And I know we've got new face material on here, so we're gonna get good ball speed, so I'm not too nervous about embarrassing myself. So no, I'm excited to hit it, and I'll talk you through the differences between the two heads.
Yeah, we'll save the tech talk during the hits. I think it's a great time for you to walk through some of the different concepts that you've gone through and basically what player will be best suited for each head.
Let's go.
Let's go to the hitting bay and have some fun. So we're actually in the hitting bay here in the THP Tech Studio. Like we said before, Chris is gonna hit some shots for us, which is really fun. You have two different heads in the lineup. You've got one in your hand. Walk us through, before you do hit the first one, the design concept, one of the early concepts that you have in terms of what people can expect, and we'll hit a couple shots.
So you've seen Mizuno's drivers evolve over the last couple of years from the ST190 to the ST200. This is the STZ right here, which is the next line in that evolution. So what we were trying to do was make something very, very stable, but still at the same time low spin. So what you'll see with the Z is a very symmetrical look. You'll see some carbon windows on the toe and heel, a large heavy mass, low and deep. Again, a very neutrally balanced golf club with a beta titanium SAT 2041 face, tons of ball speed, really solid feel, and this is gonna be the more neutral of the two. So I'll hit this one first.
Yeah, we'll hit 3 shots with each.
Okay.
Well, that's what I like to see. Pretty much down the line, a little bit of a fade. Chris, is that something you typically see, a little bit of a fade shape?
Yeah, if I have a miss, it's a little bit of a block, or I kind of tend to leave the face just a touch open. But that's one of the things about this club, is it's designed to not really go left necessarily. This is the neutral to slightly falling right of the two heads.
So I'm going to make a prediction here and say when we do switch heads, we might see a little bit more of that left profile.
That's exactly right.
Great.
That one's going to turn over a little bit more.
There we go. Now, one thing golfers are always looking for with drivers is the ability to work the ball, depending on the type of the head they're pursuing. Is this, of the two, the one that the guy who wants to do a little bit more left to right action is going to lean towards?
So if you're looking to potentially miss the ball from left to right, this is probably the one of the two. If you're looking for more of a right to left miss, it's going to be the other one. The interesting thing about the two heads is where the center of gravity is placed, the actual STX is a little bit more workable. So if you're somebody who likes to try to do it in both directions, that's probably going to be your better option. This is going to be more just a straight to the slight fade.
Okay. Let's hit one more with this head. It's got a nice sound to it, Chris.
Definitely an improvement on the sound compared to the previous version. The ST200 was a little bit loud, a little bit of a piercing sound to it. By bringing more composite and really reinforcing certain areas of this, we were able to get a little bit softer, what we like to call a denser feel, a little bit more solid.
Okay, we'll make a switch now and then jump right back in with a couple more swings.
Cool.
All right, we've made a head change.
Yes, now I'm holding the STX driver. Where the STZ was very neutral, you can see a lot more mass pulled towards the heel side on this one. So the head shape and address of this, it's a little bit more like the mass is just pulled in this direction. The face itself is a little bit deeper. The face is a little bit squattier as well. So all things to bring the center of gravity a little bit closer to the shaft axis. If you look from the sole side, where the STZ had two big composite windows, this really just has one big one on the toe where we removed mass here and really concentrated it lower towards the heel. So ultimately, this is going to do two things. It's either going to, one, make you want to really turn the ball over, but for a lot of players, actually bringing that center of gravity closer to the shaft axis gives the player a little bit more workability. So we've seen some players who like to try to work the ball both ways actually go into the X driver. Me personally, I'm someone who kind of releases the head through, so I expect this for me to turn over more from right to left.
There's one thing left to do. Let's hit it a couple times. Straight away, got a little turn left. Before we really dive in, and I'll let people watch this and experience it for themselves to see what it's actually doing. Is it hard for you being a global company? It's a joke we already had today. Z versus Z. Is that always fun for you?
It actually is. It's amazing when we're going through discussions, when we're doing video recording and stuff like that. You're different. One name, you'd think everybody would read it the same way, but in different regions, it's read different ways. The STZ, for example, which sounds totally normal to me, sounds odd for Dan, or sounds odd for some of the guys over in the UK who would prefer STZ. So it's funny how being global, it's almost like you have to have a little bit of give and take. So on some instances, we'll go a little bit more with the European or Asian pronunciation, and in others, we'll get our way. So it kind of, you have to work globally to align on some of those things.
Right on. Let's hit one or two more probably.
Cool. So naturally this ball, because of that shorter CG of the shaft axis, this one wants to start left and actually turn over a little bit more. The face is a touch more closed on this one, but it does have adjustability on the Hosel where you can go plus or minus 2 degrees. So I could open this up 2 degrees to really straighten it out if I wanted to bring more workability into it.
That's probably more of a golfer to golfer thing. You're more than likely used to a certain shape profile, so you could be manipulating that a little bit personally.
You're exactly right. I mean, I'm someone who, you know, if I'm literally trying to hit a fairway with this, because of what I look at, I'm going to kind of hang on like this, but I know that's not what we're doing here. We're kind of demonstrating the differences between them. So I'm trying to put the most neutral swing I can on this, and naturally it wants to turn over.
Yeah. Well, it certainly confirms it.
Right. So for me, I'm going to expect this one to actually be probably a touch less spin. A lot of that is going to be based off of the ball flight as well, because it is turning over. That's naturally going to bring the spin rate down a bit. Also, the center of gravity is not quite as deep on this one because of that deeper face and that mass pushed a little bit more forward.
Do you want to hit one more, or are you good?
Sure, let's do one more.
Let's hit one more.
Thank you.
And just for fun, let's aim a little bit right on the screen and see if we can really bring one from the right side and bring it around.
Perfect. Maybe started that a little bit too far right.
Yeah, that's all right. You do get a nice differential between the two heads. The performance is definitely there on both sides. But the experience golfer to golfer, you will see something like that. I'm sitting here watching you. It's the same basic swing with a different head setup, and surely that's going to result in different numbers.
Well, and one thing that's interesting that we did this year versus previous generation, where we had the ST200 and the ST200X, the previous X came stock with a very light weight here, and it was designed to be over length with what we call a J spec, a Japanese spec. This one now with the STX, we actually can build this to a normal spec as well, where we can put our heavier weight in here and mix and match it with any of our shafts in our shaft lineup. So you can have much more fitting capabilities between these two heads.